A U.S. Air Force EA-18 Growler fighter jet flies on final to land at the Osan Air Base in Pyeongtaek on November 4, 2022, as South Korea and U.S. agreed to extend a joint aerial drill called Vigilant Storm, AFP. South Korea's military scrambled stealth jets on Friday after detecting the mobilization of 180 North Korean warplanes, Seoul said, following a record-breaking blitz of missile tests by Pyongyang this week. It comes a day after North Korea conducted a failed intercontinental ballistic missile test and follows a decision by Seoul and Washington to extend through Saturday their largest ever joint air drills, a military exercise that has infuriated Pyongyang. Our military detected around 180 North Korean warplanes mobilized in Pyongyang's airspace, Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff said, adding that Seoul scrambled 80 fighter jets including F-35 while jets involved in the joint drills were also maintaining readiness. Shortly after South Korea announced the decision to extend the joint drills on Thursday, Pyongyang launched 3 more short-range ballistic missiles, calling the decision a very dangerous and wrong choice. Hours later, the North fired 80 artillery rounds that landed in a maritime buffer zone, Seoul's military said. The barrage was a clear violation of the 2018 agreement that established the buffer zone in a bid to reduce tensions between the two sides, Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff said. The artillery fire came after Pyongyang fired about 30 missiles Wednesday and Thursday, including an intercontinental ballistic missile and one that landed near South Korea's territorial waters for the first time since the end of the Korean War in 1953. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin described Pyongyang's ICBM launch as illegal and destabilizing, and Seoul and Washington vowed to pursue new measures to demonstrate their determination and capabilities against the North's growing threats. U.S. Air Force A-10 Thunderbolt attack aircrafts fly over the Osan Air Base in Pyeongtaek on November 4, 2022, as South Korea and U.S. agreed to extend a joint aerial drill called Vigilant Storm, AFP. Experts and officials have said Pyongyang is ramping up its tests in protest over the U.S.-South Korean drills. Washington and Seoul have repeatedly warned that Pyongyang's recent launches could be a precursor to a nuclear test, which would be its 7th. Pyongyang has called the joint air drills, dubbed Vigilant Storm, an aggressive and provocative military drill targeting North Korea, and threatened that Washington and Seoul would pay the most horrible price in history if it continued. North Korea is particularly sensitive about the air drills, experts say, as its own air force is one of the weakest links in its military, lacking high-tech jets and properly trained pilots. Seoul last scrambled fighter jets in early October, when it detected 12 North Korean warplanes conducting an apparent air-to-surface firing drill. The ongoing joint drills involve some of South Korea and America's advanced fighter jets F-35 and F-35Bs, both of which are stealth aircraft designed to produce as small a radar signature as possible. Such jets would be a central component in any decapitation operations targeting the North Korean leadership, including Kim Jong Un himself, Go Myung-hyun, researcher at the Entrance to ASEAN Institute for Policy Studies told AFP. We know for a fact that North Korea is highly sensitive to these kinds of threats. This summer there were reports that U.S. and South Korean commandos were practicing so-called decapitation strikes, the removal of North Korea's top leadership in a lightning-fast military operation.